I don't even know how to start this. I can guarantee you, for most of you at least, that you have not had as lovely and delectable a time as I have this past week. Have you ever, if I look like I'm wet, it's because I'm in heat, but also I just took a shower. I don't know how to parcel this. I had so many ideas, and then because it literally was all I could do. I just got back yesterday or 2 days ago from the vacation from hell. Let me just stop this shit right now so I can go into this with a plan of how I want to articulate myself. There is something so diabolical about everything, really, but I don't know if I've mentioned on this channel or intimated it or implied, inferred, whatever word you want to fucking use. But your girl, she wants off this mortal coil. She wants to shuffle off the mortal coil. And she has for carry the 1, divide by 2. I was never good at math. A long time. And easily, at least early teens, if not sooner or younger. And I currently am 47 years old. No, I'm kidding. I'm not 47. But I'm older than you would think, because a lot of people think that I look younger than I am, which is, if I am, because as someone who is so youth focused as a society and a person, and is obsessed with youth in the terms of my own relation to it and my own departure from it, that would be a compliment. But we have to start romanticizing aging and getting the privilege to age and getting the privilege to be older and living long, full lives that are hopefully cathartic and satisfactory, and a bunch of other adjectives. Now let me get all these hairs out of the way so you can enjoy my 5 head. I'm also taking advertising on this billboard space, so DM to inquire how to get your ads there. So I've wanted to tango with Thanatos for a long time, and it's not something that you can really talk to your parents about, especially if you have the kind of parents that I had. I mean, they're alive, but they're dead to me because I'm dead to them. So who's keeping score? I don't know anymore. And there's something so sad about not having your parents in your life, but they're still alive. And it's not even like you wouldn't want a relationship with them. It's they wouldn't accept or unconditionally love you as their child. And it's a special sort of hell, but like, that is neither here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make, I say that as an anecdote. My dad would always come into my rooms and he'd always give me like literally 2-3 hour lectures and just keep going on and on and on the way I do. And he'd go off into tangents and this and that and like lecturing me and like blah 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 about morality, and he was like this and that, and like he would always like go off into tangents and then like try to come back to the main point by saying like, so what I'm trying to say is, and then like he would like go off into another tangent. And I'm not kidding when I say 2-3 hour like things. I could never be like, get the fuck out of my room. I don't want to endure this bullshit, because you don't say that to immigrant African parents, especially religious ones. So what I'm trying to say is, I did not have the rapport or faith in my parents to be like, hey, I would like to die now. What can we do about this? Can we maybe seek help? Can we maybe do something? And I knew they would never be receptive to any sort of suicidal inclinations. Not in the sense of like, oh, like which parent would want to be like, oh yes, my kids want to kill themselves. But more in the sense that like, oh shit, we should take this seriously. Because one time, two main reasons really. Because I tried to talk to them about trouble focusing, trouble concentrating, ADHD and that sort of stuff, but they're like, well, if that was true, no, they were like, first off, everybody's like that. Everybody has trouble focusing. I was like, that's not true. And then the kicker was like, oh, if that was true, what you're saying is true, how are you able to pass your classes? How are you able to graduate? How are you able to like succeed? And that's because I'm a tenacious, clever, resourceful person who had to work around my disadvantages and disabilities. Except things that I did in spite of these disadvantages and disabilities were then weaponized against me to justify the idea that I didn't have them. So that was the first reason. The second reason is, one time, many, many, many moons ago, when I was a wee little lad, there was this news special about suicide or something, and like, we were upstairs in the upstairs foyer. I hate the word foyer, by the way. I feel like there's something stuck in my tooth. It's really annoying. And it was like ABC News or CBS or CNBC or whatever, the CNN, NBC, whatever the fuck, you know. Like it was a major news report about like suicide rates, or like maybe among youthful people, of which I was at the time, and arguably still am. But my mom was watching it along with us, and she's like, listen guys, like if you ever, she's talking to me and my brothers and I guess my sister's there. She's like, if you ever like feel like you want to kill yourself, if you're suicidal or whatever, please, please, please talk to somebody. Please seek help. Please like bring it up and like do something. Even if you can't talk to us about it, talk to somebody about it. And I remember this so vividly. My dad was walking past at that moment, and he said, if you're going to kill yourself, just fucking do it, because that means you're weak. And I was like, I'm thinking in my head, like, why the fuck would you say that to your own kids? Like, are you trying to reverse psychology me or something? Or I don't know. And mind you, this is a man whose best friend died to suicide before I was born. So maybe he's bitter about that. But like, I would think that you'd want for your children not to do that. Who knows? He was an odd man. So it was never something I could reasonably discuss with them to any sort of satisfactory or meaningful end. Which means I had to suffer in silence, which means I had to just go about my day being passively suicidal and being like, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if this bus just hit me right now? Or if a car hit me when I like step out onto the street and I'm crossing the street? It would be so great if like an ambulance ran me over right now. You know what I mean? Like, passively seeking opportunities to no longer have to exist, because existing means coping or not coping, but still experiencing the after effects of childhood trauma, ongoing trauma, growing up in an abusive family, and more. And a lot of the times I wonder, like, at what point, at what level of suffering are we allowed to, like, look at a person who is suffering and be like, yeah, okay, like, I wouldn't want to, like, still be here either. Like, I kind of get your headspace, you know, instead of being like, suicide is selfish and yeah, people who do it are bad and evil, as opposed to people who want to not be in pain anymore and felt like they had no other option. How about we have a little bit of compassion and empathy for the people who are suffering with this, as opposed to shaming them. And that's not to say that like their choice to kill themselves doesn't have an effect on those who love them, those who care about them. Of course not. Of course it does. But I think it's interesting when we can't even prioritize the person who killed themselves in their own death and instead make it about how others feel about their death. And that's not to say don't have those feelings. It's not to say you're wrong for feeling upset, angry, confused, betrayed, taken by surprise, shocked, hurt. All these sort of conflicting, confusing emotions. I'm not here to police your emotions. I'm simply here to say that, like, it doesn't seem fair. Or, because I know people are going to be like, well, killing yourself and leaving us to deal with your stuff is not fair. It doesn't seem, it seems disingenuous to treat a person who killed themselves like like they're a villain and it's a moral failing, as opposed to a person desperately seeking escape from pain and torment, whether mental, physical, sexual, etc. So passively suicidal, really always have been. And as of like a month ago, and mind you, this is not scripted. I'm just blah 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 blah. I'm blabbing, blabbing, blabbing. You either watch it or you don't. This is more for me to get off my chest, than for anybody's enjoyment. But if anybody does enjoy it, whatever. Um, a couple months ago, my depression got super duper like into its role and was like, you know what? I don't think we want to make this bitch kill herself enough. Let's double our efforts. And so depression clocked in, and it hasn't clocked out since childhood, early teenage years. It's been clocked in. But now it's like, we want overtime. We want holiday pay. We want to put in the work to like achieve our fucking function. It got super bad. Is that a movie, Super Bad? I've never watched it. I feel like it is. Isn't that like the superhero movie? Like, what's the superhero movie? You know the one I'm talking about? Or is that Kick-Ass? I never watched that either. It got super bad, and I asked my roommate to throw away this big kitchen knife that I just could not stop thinking about. That, mind you, and I don't say this to like brag or whatever, and it's no longer accurate, so it doesn't matter either way, but I had never self-harmed physically, at least, and I think the denying myself the release of self-harming was a self-harm, because I was fighting myself and being like, I desperately want this, but like, I don't deserve it, and I'm not going to give myself what I want. I'm not going to give myself that release. And other really, really, como se dice, maladaptive coping mechanisms. But it got really bad, and could not stop thinking about it. And me and my roommate were under a lot of stress with regards to our housing situation, with regards to the state of the world and the atrocities that continue to go on. Not even the creep of fascism, like the full fucking like sprint of fascism, out and proud back into public life. Ubiquitous societal concepts like anti-blackness and racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia and ableism and classism and so many more, like looksism, featureism, texturism. But I'm talking more so the big umbrella terms, especially of anti-blackness. And just thinking about, and my problem is, I overthink. And it's not that I'm ignorant of the fact that I overthink. It's more so that like it arose as a coping mechanism. And in my head, it's usually like I go back to like wanting or thinking and reliving and craving being back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and when life was carefree and I didn't have to provide for myself and I didn't have to endure the rigors of capitalism. I didn't have to be self-sufficient. I didn't have to um, be responsible for myself, despite being adultified in many other ways and feeling responsible for the emotional well-being of the family in the hostile home environment, and the parents fighting like cats and dogs and not giving a shit about like their child, or one of their children, felt like, no, stop, like moms and dads or like parents shouldn't be fighting, like families should love each other. And like I would always step in to like prevent my siblings from like getting ass whoopings and everything. I'd put myself in the way of danger, and I was always trying to diffuse situations. And this is me as a young kid, okay? Um, and the toll and burden of that came or fell to me because nobody else was doing it. The adults weren't adulting, at least in a way that was beneficial to their children beyond providing resources to their kids, um, to enable their continued existence. But that's the gig they signed up for when they chose to be parents. Um, so I sort of like, as a result of like a lot of abuse and trauma and emotional neglect and invalidation and other factors, I sort of retreat into my own head, and I go to what I consider a safe place or a comfort zone, or like nostalgia and everything, and is a big thing for me. Um, in Anemoia, which is like nostalgia for like times you weren't even existing in. Um, this is 23 minutes already. Overthinking is my biggest issue. And I can't stop overthinking, and I get in my head, and I overanalyze everything, and I try to be self-aware. I try to be aware of my biases. I try to be aware of my thought patterns. I try to be aware of my actions, because I'm always hyper aware of my physical actions, and always experiencing hypervigilance and hyper arousal in terms of like, I can never shut off my passive scanning of the environment and being startled by loud noises and like paying attention to like who's nearby, who's coming, being able to differentiate people by their footsteps, um, and just always feeling a sense of the waiting for the other shoe to drop. It doesn't matter if the shoe is a Louboutin or if it's, and forgive me, I mean, whatever. I was gonna say Uggs, but then like I thought Crocs, and I think it's more acceptable socially to hate on Crocs. I used to be a big Croc hater, but like, do you like it? I love it. That's it. Um, yeah. So I feel like I'm stalling. I don't even remember where I'm trying to go with this. I get in my head a lot. and I obsess over things that I can't change, and I always want to passively die, but that sort of transformed into a more troubling, concerning, active desire to do the do with death, and invite him into my bedchambers, and like maybe give him a handy or something, and flash my tits or whatever gets death going. Can you imagine like death having a boner as like the skeleton and it's just a fucking bone? Don't ask. Don't ask how my mind works. Clearly, I'm very mentally ill. So he got to a really concerning point, and self-harm was a recurrent thought in my head. And then one day I literally woke up, and like within seconds, the first thought was like, today's the day. You know how you never harmed yourself before? Physically? You know how you've never cut yourself, slit your throat, slit your wrists, anything like that? Overdosed on pills? Today's the day to change that. Why not today? If not, like the best time was yesterday or 50 years ago. Second best time is now. And that was literally like the first thought I had when waking up. And it's like, I literally just woke up. Why is my brain like this? Why is it actively conspiring against me and compelling me to kill myself within seconds of waking up? And I was spiraling, and I was recently diagnosed like a couple months ago with that, but also, and I wonder how many of you are gonna like start going like, as soon as I tell you this, but because I know there's a stigma against these kind of people. But I was diagnosed as white. No, I was diagnosed as having borderline personality disorder because I had a couple of breakdowns within hours of each other, and I went to my primary care provider, which is a LGBTQ clinic, and I was like, yeah, it's bleak out here. I would like to check out, please. But also, I don't want to check out. I would like to not feel like I want to check out. And for one reason or another, maybe circumstances, maybe fate, but I could not get into a psychiatric facility. And I feel like some people would have been like, people who are in the know were like, thank God, like, you don't want to do that. And I was like, I felt like it was getting to a point where if I don't do something, I would be dead by that night. I would not live to see the morning or the sunrise or Stupid Never Dies releasing. And I want to play the fuck out of that game. And Bayonetta 4. And Resident Evil Veronica, the remake. And so many more things to live for or whatever. And I recall once, long time ago. I don't even know what that accent is, but lately I've been doing an Igor, I think, accent, like, yes, yes, master. Like, it's very funny, and I don't know why I do it, but like, it's just so fucking funny. Um, I think that's why my throat is hoarse as of yesterday, but like, once, many moons ago, long time ago, love you, long time, Mariah Carey. Um, my mom or my parents told us things like, yeah, like mental illness kind of we don't take it seriously, but people in our family have killed themselves. They have jumped out of windows. They have met their maker, so to speak. And me being a stupid child at the time, and mind you, the stupidity never went away. I'm a stupid adult, allegedly now. But that as an even stupider child, it felt very much like, oh, okay, cool family lore. That's happened to people before I was born who I never knew, distant relatives. Um, like, okay. Anyways, and it never, ever occurred to me that mental illness running in the family, of which I am a part of said family, means that I could also be affected by mental illness. Do you ever feel really stupid? Like, retroactively, you feel like, I mean, I know I've been depressed. I know I've always had anxiety issues. I know I couldn't focus. I know I wanted to die. But I think it was before all those things. It was before all those things when I was just very young and naive and optimistic about the world, despite the horrors I had to endure as a youth. Um, it felt very removed and disconnected and okay, that's somebody else's problem. It's not gonna, like, I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare, but like, it doesn't matter knowing these things because like my parents don't believe in mental illness anyways, and they only take my sister's mental health seriously because her struggles as someone who is bipolar and has autism and has been in and out of psychiatric facilities. Her issues and struggles have been more apparent, but and it's not that I resent her for our parents giving a shit about taking her mental health seriously. Um, but it's like, why couldn't they do that for me too? Instead of being like, no, you're not. No, you're not mentally ill. If you're mentally ill, how are you doing this? How are you graduating? How are you doing this? How are you able to like pass your classes? Never mind the fact that one time I socialized so much in and got distracted and socialized so much in ninth grade math that like I failed it with a 45 and went into summer school. Why am I self-reporting? It's because I'm a chatterbox. I'm a yapper. Went into summer school with that 45, mind you, and I came out. Want to know what the fuck I had? 45. My dad was so fucking mad. because he was the one driving me to summer school and everything. But like math, when am I ever going to use that? Times tables, addition, algebra. I could use a bra, but algebra is algebra. They would just basically gaslight me. And I know that's a very popular word to like use out of context, and like people use it incorrectly and just like use it to mean anytime somebody lies, as opposed to like a repeated, insistent denial of somebody's memories or experiences or lived reality or whatever. But no, I mean very, very literal gaslighting in the most textbook definition sort of way about having mental illness. And like, I was never taken seriously and always made to feel bad if I inconvenienced them by talking about these things or having the audacity to think I deserved or needed help. So my coping mechanism is staying the fuck up in here and also internalizing everything and feeling very restricted emotionally. Why am I fucking like pouring my heart out and putting it on the internet, on the internet, on the internet, on the internet, on the internet? Imagine if that was like a glitch, you know? I just wanted to make you like wonder if like the video skipped or something for a second. Emotional neglect, cold shouldering of me anytime I was rightfully upset with them or they did me dirty or something, until I got over it and like needed to talk to them for something. Remind me to tell you guys, you folks, about my high school graduation story and all the bullshit that was very formative and very reinforcing with regards to feeling abandoned and not supported and left to figure things out on my own. It's still something that upsets me. And I think it always will be. Where was I going with this? Mental illness in the family. Never thought that it'd be like me at the time. I was like, okay, cool story, bro. That don't got shit to do with me. And this is the narrator's voice. It in fact did have shit to do with her. I just didn't know yet. You know what they say. Man plans, God laughs. My mental health became diabolical, I think is the best word for it. And also it's just a word that's like my word du jour or whatever. Or word du semaine. Semaine? That's my word of the week, okay? It got to the point where I felt like I was going to self-harm And I would rather not do that. And that's not shade to anybody who has self-harmed, because I have since self-harmed. And not even just because of that, but also because, like, I'm not in the business of moral policing, moral policing, um, how people cope with their trauma, and feeling morally superior for. Well, I've never hurt myself, so I'm a gold star trauma survivor. Like, I think that's a very stupid idea. It's like, you can't go comparing traumas, and you can't go treating people badly or like yourself, like it's a moral failing if they've harmed themselves and you haven't. Rude. Um, but the thoughts are there, and they're getting worse, and they're getting more insistent. And then I woke up that day and I was like, today's the day. Today's the day. Today's the day. And I was like, don't love that. That's a literal first thought. Not a fan. Not a fan. And that led to me telling my roommate, and that led to us going to my dentist appointment, and then right after in the same clinic, my medical appointment, and then telling them, hey, BT dubs, I would like to die. Um, and it was so funny because they took so long to, like, get my provider to come back, because I'm assuming they had to, like, find a therapist on staff or, like, inform them of, like, what the protocol was for somebody who was suicidal or whatever. And I was just dissociating hella hard, and I was so upset. And it was bleak. And the plan of action, and it was 4 p.m., mind you. And the plan of action was to, like, they gave me resources on a sticky note. And they had me talk to a psychiatrist, or like not even a psychiatrist, a therapist. And that's no shade to psychiatrists, but it is shade to this fucking therapist, because fuck you, Kyle. Okay. They wrote down sticky notes, resources for me to call, crisis stabilization centers. Can you triple quote something? Would it be crisis stabilization centers? Who knows? And we called a few. And mind you, I'm in the fucking suffering pit. Mentally, I'm in the fucking gulag. And some of these places that I called hung up on me. And that was so close to, like, my 13th reason. That was like my 12th and a quarter reason right there. Like, I don't understand the idea of, like, somebody's in crisis and, like, they're reaching out for help, and like, it's your literal fucking job to help them, and you're in a crisis stabilization center, and you're just gonna hang up. Make it make sense. we were trying to find a bed for me for the night in a psychiatric facility. But a lot of the places were already seeing had their psychiatrists already seeing their last patient for the day, and it was only 4 p.m. So I was like, this feels too daunting. I don't want to go to an emergency room and just wait there for hours and maybe not even, or go to one of these places and not even get seen by a psychiatrist. Like, all of this is overwhelming. All of this is daunting. All of this is, I was brave enough to come in and ask for the help. And if I could do it once, I could probably do it a second time. So I just wanted to go home. I wanted everything to be done. I didn't want to have to think about it. I didn't want to have to stress about it because I don't like knowing or not knowing. It's an anxiety thing. And you can never really truly know everything or even anything. But feeling like you have to know everything so that you're aware of it and it can't hurt you, or knowledge of the thing takes away its power or whatever, which is only half true, I think. Whatever. The thought literally just evaporated from my head. These places hung up on me. The plan was for me to go home and then just go to one of these crisis stabilization centers in the morning. So we went home and I introduced my roommate to G Gundam, which I fucking love. I love it, mate. I don't know if that was Irish or Jamaican or some manner of British. I don't even know what the fuck I was going for. But it didn't end up happening. So my insurance offers their own app through which you can talk to a psychiatrist through telehealth and everything. And I've used that before. And I was like, I should probably talk to a psychiatrist because, as I've said before, and many times so far, and very likely many times more in this gargantuan video, because I'm nowhere near close to done. This here always fucking annoys me the most. There it go. And it's harder to do with the nails. So I booked a psychiatrist visit, and I just told him about childhood traumas, about being groomed online in chat rooms, and the time my older brother's best friend, who was the older brother of my classmate / best friend at the time, how when my brother and his best friend were playing, my older half brother, mind you, who should have been listening to me and protecting me and doing big brother things to their younger siblings. When the two of them were playing basketball, in front of the other guy's house, and my brother had his back turned, and this guy looked at me and lifted up his basketball shorts and showed me his dick, and sort of smirked at me. And mind you, I'm a kid at this point. I'm for sure less than 14. And instantly I know, and he obviously like puts his pants, like the pant leg down before my brother turns back around and like finished fetching I was about to say football, the basketball. And instantly I knew that was wrong, but I didn't know why. I was like, don't love that. Stranger danger, stranger danger. That was kind of fucked. Pretty sure that what he showed me, and of course it was his private parts. His epta, so to speak. And I knew I could not tell my parents because somehow it would be my fault. And they wouldn't do anything about it. And I'd be the one who got in trouble. Go figure, right? Go fish even. And I really, really agonized it. And I was like, I don't know if I should tell anybody. I feel like I should mention this to an authority figure. But my parents are out of the question. And my older half brother didn't quite virulently hate me quite yet. And I was like, okay, he's the next best thing to an adult. And he's 3 years older than me. So after agonizing over this decision and coming to the conclusions that I did have to speak up and I should trust somebody, and if it's not going to be my parents, maybe it should be my older brother, I finally tell him, yeah, like, this happened, and he showed me his dick. My older brother's charming, iconic, legendary, unforgettable, like, supernova take and statement, which I will never forget, was, okay, but why were you looking? And I was like, he showed it to me. Like, I didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do. It's just, you never forget your first time being victim blamed for, like, sexual harassment or whatever. In that moment, I was like, oh, telling people shit does not work. Does not go in your favor. Absolutely, positively, never do that again. And so I definitely didn't tell them about, like, the chat room that I was on and, like, how I was feeling very desirable as these old white pedophiles were, like, commenting on my beautiful black body and I'm a fucking preteen. And I'm just soaking it up and, like, showing it to them because of the validation and the feeling desirable of it and feeling wanted. And I've never told my parents this. I've never told my older brother this. I haven't told any of my siblings this. Very few people know about that. But the lesson I learned from that was, like, never, ever, ever open your fucking mouth and tell anybody when you need help again. But I was always really bad at, like, memory and focusing and recalling shit. So when came a time, I was like, something else happened, and I was like, ooh, I should probably like tell or somebody or speak up or like seek help, because it's so overwhelming or so daunting or so absolutely impossible to tackle myself. Every time has sort of like reinforced the notion, you fucked up, bitch. You fucked up. You trusted somebody, and that was your flaw. That was your fault. It doesn't matter that they betrayed you. It doesn't matter that they let you down. You were the one who put your trust in them in the first place. So, like, really, this is your fault. And every time I'm like, you know what, brain? You're making sense. Speak that truth, queen. You better fucking drag me. You better scalp me. So the psychiatrist, I was telling him, like, this is literally over 1 hour. I was telling him all my traumas, and like, he was asking a bunch of questions, and like, I requested the like interview because, or like the assessment, because I was like, the rate at which my emotions vacillate and oscillate, incredibly unnatural. And it made me think that, like, and it happens quickly, and it can happen several times within the day, and and I can go from very low to very high. Well, not very high, but like back to baseline. And I only ever recall one instance of like years and years ago of like feeling euphoria and like such unnatural and unrelenting happiness with no external factor to like trigger it. And so I had that. And because my sister is also bipolar, I was like, oh, that's probably what it is. And then I told the psychiatrist everything, and he was asking a bunch of questions. And within the hour, he was like, I don't think you have bipolar. I think you have borderline personality disorder. And I was like, you know what? Makes sense. And within 1 month of that diagnosis, which, by the way, borderline personality disorder used to be known as hysteria. So he diagnosed a woman with he diagnosed a woman with hysteria. But he didn't prescribe me orgasms or whatever to cure me, so clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about. Things have been getting worse mentally and emotionally, and whenever I get very, very sad, I like to say the way that like a Victorian woman or a very sickly Victorian child would say, the vapors have overtaken me. And because it feels like a like unnatural creeping malaise, a fucking omnipresent miasma of negativity and worthlessness and suicidal impulses and everything. And especially when I get that sensation of like cold creeping down my brain, like it's liquid cooling or something, and my energy evaporates, and my ability to do anything just gone. It's horrible. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, like, I need to do something about it. And the last time I tried, it didn't really work out. So on Sunday, what's today? Today is the 19th. So on Sunday, the 12th, I felt so low. Well, let me back up a little bit. On that Monday, what was that Monday? On the 6th. 6th? I don't care. On the number 6th day of July, I did self-harm for the first time. Did I, like, change the exposure or something? I don't know. It feels like it got brighter. Oh, where is that? I might as well just do this. Where was I? Oh, it got to the point where on that Monday, the 6th of July, I self-harmed for the first time, and I was like really wanting to slit my wrist. And we have, or had, I don't know if my roommate threw them out, ceramic knives, and I was like going over my wrists very lightly, and I'm also like a bitch, and like my pain tolerance is in like the negative integers, and like it's lower than hell. It's all the way in hell. So I couldn't really like wound myself grievously, but the desire, the need was still there. I should probably get the fucking mirror so I don't fuck this up. Do you like my little heart-shaped mirror? It's so heart-shaped and mirror-coated. I should probably stabilize this hand. Wonderful. Yeah, so I tried to do that, but then like I didn't really do anything further. But then on the 12th, it got back to that point again. And I was like, ooh, don't love that. I should probably do something about it. Look. I should probably like, I feel like I am not going to live to see the morrow if I'm left by myself tonight. So I told my roommate, and he was like, okay, let's get you some help. And I was like, he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I kind of want to like go to the hospital and like not do anything and have somebody watch me for a little bit, like until I've calmed down or whatever. And he sort of suggested against it because he was like, I don't trust them with you. Like, they are, I don't want you to go, like, and my biggest thing for why I didn't seek help was like, I didn't want to come out more traumatized than I did going in. But I was like, I literally feel like this is my last night on earth if I don't fucking get help. So, like an idiot, like a foolish fool who foolishly fooled too close to the sun, um, we Ubered to the hospital and we admitted myself in, and I was there for 21 hours. Um, and then they found a bed. A bed for me at a psychiatric facility. And mind you, this is the first time I've ever been to a hospital for pretty much any major reason. I've never had a surgery. Um, but like, God, I love black lipstick. But booty cheeks. Why did I do that? But yeah, like, I was like, I need to get help. I need to go out. I don't trust myself, and my roommate can't watch me all the time. So my best bet is to go to the hospital and see if they can help me. And you know what? They sure did. Unfortunately for me, what they helped me achieve was more trauma. And I already had enough, okay? Like, I don't need any more. But no, hit the road, mental illness, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Or trauma, I guess. And like a fool, I went in seeking help. And mind you, I went in there voluntarily. The police didn't take me there. I wasn't arrested or detained or like brought into the hospital. I went there myself, seeking help. In other words, it was voluntary. Can you say voluntary? Good job. I live in California. The hospital I went to, despite me being why does it look like it's so dark on that? Despite me being there, like, voluntarily, they did what is known as putting me on a 5150, which is a 72-hour hold in which I would be held against my will. In other words, involuntarily. And at some point during that time, a psychiatrist would have to evaluate me and determine if I was a danger to myself. And since I have never done this before, and this was my first time seeking help at a hospital, and I was there for 21 hours, you can imagine my relief when I was like, finally, I was brave enough to... Oh, I forgot to tell you a big part of this. That day, I was so fucking low that I texted the 988 number, which is like the National Suicide Hotline or whatever. And I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I need to chat, but I don't want to have a full-blown conversation, and I don't want my roommate to know that, like, I am in the pits of hell, because I've learned to be a very, very, very efficient crier, by which I mean I could and did have a fucking breakdown from like 10:50 something a.m. until like 7 something p.m. Or 8 something p.m. And once it reached a point where it was like, oh, cool, I've been crying for like at least 6 hours straight. That's a quarter of a day, a new personal best. It was like, yeah, like I hospital. But prior to that, I, and it's kind of fucked that I feel like I cannot burden myself or be a burden on other people. And that means even if I'm suffering, even if I'm going through hell, I cannot inconvenience anyone or make it anybody else's problem or like speak up or feel valid in my feelings or feel entitled to whatever emotions I'm feeling, because I also feel like an imposter and like I'm faking it. Or like I have no right to feel the way I feel or seek help for it. My parents did a fucking number on me, man. Like it's a generational, truly iconic thing they managed to fuck me up in such a, I was gonna say astronomical, cosmically comedic sort of way. Um, Give me a second. I wonder how many people. I wonder how many people. Like, slow your roll, bitch. Become. What's the word? Enunciate. Um, I wonder how many people. I fucking did it again. I wonder how many people have clicked off the video at this point because, like, I'm just fucking talking. Um, Let me tell you something, kid. um, Hospital, feel like I can't be a burden, don't want to bother anybody, feel like I don't have a right to my emotions, shouldn't inconvenience anybody with my crying, so I do it silently and they could have no fucking idea that I'm breaking down um, on an atomic fucking level. Um, and on the one hand, I'm kind of proud that like I'm able to be like such a stealthy crier that somebody sitting like less than 10 feet away from me and facing me, mind you, would not be able to like know that I was sisyphusing my way through my emotions, or through hell or Tartarus or whatever, Jahannam even. And but on the other, it's like, bitch. As philosopher queen Jasmine Sullivan once said, bitch, get it together, bitch. Um, it's kind of fucking sad that like I feel compelled to do it. You know what I mean? Anyways, I was texting the suicide hotline and I was chatting with somebody or something, I should say, that went by the name Arie, Arie, and it was asking me if the item was that I used to self-harm was in the room or if it was in view. Buzz off, bitch. If it was in the room or if it was in view or whatever, I put it in my jar that's like right here. And I was like, no, it's like out of sight, blah, 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 blah. It's a ceramic knife, this, that, and the third. But then it just, Ari just kept referring to it as the item, and I was like, I fucking told you what it is. Why do you keep saying the item? Do you even know what the fucking item is? And he was like, and Ari responded and was like, yeah, like I know what it is. Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying the item because it's relevant right now. And I was like, okay, so, and I have suspicions at this point. I'm like, name the fucking item. And then it successfully did name the item. And mind you, it's taking like several minutes between each text reply. And while it successfully did repeat what the item was, the ceramic knife, it did, and that it then went on to continue going, like referring to it as the item, and repeating questions, and like it felt like it was reading from a script, but not in the way that like I'm assuming people who volunteer get paid to do this on the suicide hotline or whatever. It didn't feel like it was on a structured, well thought out list of things to say and things to avoid, and like a sort of template to sort of guide the conversation to make it like not efficient or economical, but like so that it doesn't go off the fucking rails. This felt more like each response was like, and I use this word deliberately, generated. And so I asked Ari, this is not AI, is it? And it said, no, of course not. We don't use AI. But then it kept doing those behaviors. And I was like, you know what? This is my 12th and a half reason. And I wonder. And it got me so fucking mad that I was like, how, the notion of like, exporting the process of helping people who are going through an emotional or mental breakdown and crisis and need empathy and compassion and guidance and no judgment. The idea of that being outsourced to a automated fucking bot that is unfeeling, unthinking, unsympathetic, and not a real person, despite the troubled person, the suicidal person, the self-harming person being on the verge of a cliff. Yet they were brave enough to reach out and look for help. And instead, they got a fucking robot. And that was their last line of defense. And it was false and inauthentic and there's no other word for it. Disgusting. Simply inconceivably disgusting. I genuinely wonder how many people who are on the brink and found out it was AI was like, that's it. I'm going to kill myself now. Even trying to get help, even trying to I've exhausted my last resource, and it's not even a thing that it's not even a person that can care. It's a fucking bot. And I'm so sorry that, like, they had to go through that. And it was surreal to discover that myself. And it makes me so angry. But as I've always said, I had to internalize my anger and my emotions, and I don't know how to express them or let them go. Because they were never heeded, they were never given the room, grace, space to be felt and respected. So they just store inside my withered hollow of a heart. And just fucking fester there. So I was literally, I had self-harmed that day. I had been crying for like 8+ hours. I have always felt like I have this inescapable destiny where it is like cosmically ordained that the way my life ends will be by my own hand. That I am destined to kill myself. That it is inescapable. It is incontrovertible. It is something that cannot be avoided, overturned, violated, circumnavigated. It is what it is, and it is a unchangeable factor of my continued existence. And so my continuing to exist, despite knowing that I will very likely one day kill myself when the pain is too great and I can no longer do it, no longer manage or cope or compartmentalize and just put a smile on my face and make a jokey joke and laugh about it. You cannot fathom, unless you go through it, how demoralizing it is to live while knowing that you are the reason that you are going to die. And just like how that day I woke up where I was like, today is the day I'm going to self-harm. And it wasn't even a conscious decision. It was like literally my brain telling me this. And I want to do eyeliner, but like, I'm scared I'm going to fuck it up on camera. I did it so well last time. Just like how I felt like it was unavoidable and just a fucking fact of life that day I was going to self-harm. So too, on this day a week later, the 12th of July, I felt that it was going to be my last night on Earth. Excuse you. And I was being brave. And I was reaching out, seeking help, going against things I've internalized, that I'm not worthy of the help, that I'm not worth the trouble, that I'm not worth the inconvenience, that I'm faking, that I don't deserve the help. For the sake of my continued existence, I was brave enough to, for the first time, reach out to the suicide hotline, And then it just turned out to be fucking AI chatbots. And I had been feeling like I was not going to see the morning that I was not going to live through the night or see the morning light. I'm a poet and I don't know it. It was bad. It was B.L.E.A.K. Bleak. It's bleak out here. So I went to the hospital, checked myself in, spent 21 hours there, and then some guy was like, okay, we found a bed for you. We're going to put you on a hold, and you'll get the help you need. And I was like, foolishly, stupidly, ignorantly, was like, oh, thank God I reached out. I'm so excited that, like, I'm going to be able to tell somebody my problems and, like, a professional will be able to, like, fucking help me. Because all I wanted was to be able to, like, tell my life story to somebody and be like, this is all the context of why I am the way I am. Because I've come to a lot of conclusions because I've overthought, right? And I was going to therapy. I already had that psychiatrist who diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder and PTSD. I had been active in trying to handle and take care of my mental health despite everything in me being like, you're not worth it. You're wasting people's time. There are real suicidal people. You're not really suicidal. You're just dramatic. Why the fuck should people help you? Why the fuck should your insurance pay for it? You're not worth that money. Any suffering you go through, that's your fucking fault. You deserve it. You deserve bad things to happen to you. Despite all of that, I was trying to be brave and I was trying to perhaps foolishly defy what felt like fate of me, like, and killing myself. And I swear to God, if a single comment says sewer slide in my comments, like, say the word. Just say the fucking word. Words have meanings. They, like, you do not have to self-censor. If I hear, and especially in, like, offline and in real life, if you're out here saying, like, yeah, this person raped another, they committed sewer slide. The first few times I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. And, like, it's amusing that they felt they had to, or maybe there was genuine suppression of these terms on TikTok or whatever. But then it spilled out to fucking everywhere else, and people were saying things like grape instead of rape. They were saying sewer slide instead of suicide. They were saying cheese pizza instead of child porn, which you should refer to as child sexual abuse material, or SAM, CSAM. Because the notion that, like, it's child pornography conflates it with adult pornography, which is, on some level, at least conceptually, it like, adults can consent to have sex and record it and post it online. That's not to discredit the nature of the porn industry and how abusive and taxing and problematic and traumatizing it can be. But at least conceptually, you could argue these people are over the age of 18. They both consented. They're both adults. They both know what they want. They both choose to have porn of themselves uploaded to the internet. Whereas you cannot do that with children who do not have the ability to consent, which is why it's child sexual abuse material, not child porn. Just say the fucking words, please. Just say the fucking words. Don't trivialize and make into a joke or make something seem less serious than what it is by your use of terminology. Like, be fucking for real. How am I supposed to take you seriously when you're saying sewer slide? How? Cheese pizza? Okay, anyways. I was trying to be brave. Reached out to the suicide hotline. It was fucking AI. I was like, if that isn't my 13th fucking reason, it's my 12th and 3/4 reason. 12th and 3/4 reason? 12th and 3/4 reason? Okay, I don't do numbers. If you want me to write English creative writing, I can fucking do that. I am stellar at that. Math? 1 + 1? 2 + 2, everybody knows equals fish, but these bitches are going to be saying that it equals 4. 4 where? For what? Like, I will never fall for the propaganda that you will ever have to use math in your life. Name one time in this fucking video that I said a number. I defy you to. You won't be able to. I'm just stalling. I don't know. I needed help. I tried to reach out for help. Help was not help. I went to the hospital trying to reach proper help. Proper help was not proper help. And I was told that I was being put on a hold, and I did not know what that meant. And remember, I came there voluntarily seeking help. Nobody brought me in. Nobody forced me to go. I wasn't arrested, detained, brought in by police or like whatever. I came to the hospital of my own free will, seeking help. Despite that, they put a hold on me, a 5150 hold, which I don't know if it's only if it's a specific California law or if it's like federal or whatever, but like in California, a 5150 means that psychiatrists you can be detained for up to 72 hours. And mind you, this was after 21 hours at the fucking hospital. Just them taking my vitals and waiting for a crisis stabilization center to open up a bed. The 5150 allows a psychiatrist allows for you being put on a 72-hour hold. 72 hours is 3 days, during which point a psychiatrist will assess you and determine whether or not you are a threat to yourself. And if not, you can, I guess, be released to custody. You can be released to yourself or remanded to yourself. Otherwise, they can put another hold on you. And they didn't explain any of this to me. They just said that I was going to get the help I needed. And I was like, boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. I am so... Why did I say it wrong twice? Boy, oh boy. I am so, like, totally excited. Bro. Like, finally, I'm so glad I spoke up. Please don't ever speak up. Please don't do it. If I could only know the manner of hell I would be subjected to over this past week, I would have never said fucking shit. I would have sat my ass home. I would have just popped another lorazepam and been like, go get over it. Risk being addicted to a benzodiazepine, like Valium, which is diazepam. But I was prescribed lorazepam, which is Ativan, anti-anxiety medication, and use as needed for anxiety and shit. Because, and as somebody who's fucking traumatized and has PTSD and feels emotions very, 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 very strongly, because of borderline personality disorder, if I used it as needed, which I was trying to avoid doing, it is very likely that I would become addicted to a benzodiazepine such as lorazepam. So it was a coin flip where on one side it was like take as needed, which would mean very often, and get addicted to it, and go through horrible withdrawal symptoms, or you don't take it and it doesn't sort of like calm you down and make you feel like you're able to function. So you're just there raw dogging how absolutely unlivable your life is. So it feels like either way you're fucked. I was trying my best not to develop an addiction, but I think I did. And do you know how many times I like denied myself the lorazepam, even when I still had some? And I was like, no, like, bitch, get it together, bitch. Do not. You don't need addiction issues on top of all your other bullshit. You do not need to get addicted to a substance. No, don't do that. Lo and behold, I think I very much am. Because they took me to a psychiatric hospital, if you could call it that, an hour away in an ambulance, on which I was on a stretcher, like an ambulance paramedic stretcher, and had my hands like restrained, my wrists restrained, and like the little cuffs on the side. And genuinely, like seriously, for reals, bro, that was the best part of this entire ordeal. I was like, is it weird that like I'm into this and like being like carted around by like the very fun and friendly and amicable like two paramedics or whatever, and one of them was like, no, like it's not at all, like people say that all the time. I'm like, yeah, like it's my first time, but like it kind of feels like a royalty, like you're on like you're on a throne, except horizontally and restrained, and like you're having people push you around and traveling that way. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Maybe I just like being tied up and I didn't know it. But also I don't think I like being tied up because like I don't like the idea of being restrained. But apparently I'm more complex. I'm more complex Luther than I thought. The best part of this entire diabolical debacle was being restrained on the stretcher and being transported in the back of the ambulance an hour away to a psychiatric facility in a town I have never been to, that I didn't even know existed, and being checked in as a patient. And mind you, they take you in through like the front door, and you're still like on this stretcher, and there's like a waiting area, and there are people who are like visitors for the people inside, and you are on a stretcher in this waiting area, strapped down, restrained, elevated. And it no longer becomes fun to be in a stretcher. It's like, I feel like a spectacle. Nobody says anything, but like, you feel like the way that media portrays people with mental illnesses to be, like you're a danger, like you're, especially because you're restrained, right? You feel like, sorry to like use an ableist term because I try to avoid these sort of things, but I'm a lad now after everything I've been through. And let me tell you some shit. I'm getting to the shit that I'm going to tell you. You feel like you're a lunatic, like you're some psychopathic, sociopathic, and I'm sorry to like stigmatize these conditions. My hand is literally shaking. I don't know why it's doing that. You feel the way the social media and culture have depicted people who struggle with mental illness or self-harm or suicidal ideation as evil, dangerous people, threats to other people more so than threats to yourself, even if like you're only ostensibly a threat to yourself, or you're trying very hard not to be that, which is why you came in voluntarily. And you'll know, like, I'm going to get to why, like, I'm emphasizing voluntarily, because I arrived at that hospital in that fucking waiting room, and they had me sign a lot of forms that they very, very briefly, quickly, barely explained. And this is while I'm still restrained, mind you. They had to free one hand so I could like sign the forms and initial them. And then they took me in to the back. And this was on Monday the 13th. It would have been in like the very early morning. And they had me stripped down to get rid of all my clothes, gave me to like gowns is the best word for it, like hospital gowns, to put on, and asked me to bend down on my knee or like squat and cough very hard to make sure I wasn't like struggling or smuggling in contraband. They took my phone and asked me to power it off, and they put it in the safe. And can you fucking, there's like a single fruit fly in this place, and like it's driving me insane. Well, more so insane than before. They asked me if I wanted to be put with the boys or with the girls, and I was like, I'm just here to like get help. Like I'm doing the path of least resistance. I understand that a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with the trans women being within like the same vicinity as cis women, real women. Um, so I was just like, whatever makes people the most comfortable. I don't care. I just want the psychiatric help. And they're like, no. Like, honestly, you can pick. It's like, it's not a big problem or a problem at all. And I was like, okay, just put me in the room with the women. Like, and there's two other roommates in your room. So it's 3 to a room. And they take your phone and they show you to your room and you sit on that fuck ass little cot with them thin ass sheets, them raggedy thin ass sheets, and and the one pillow, the one deflated pillow that you're allotted in this room that has no windows, that are papered up over, and that they check daily to make sure you didn't like break them or like they're damaged so you can try to like escape. There is flyers that say AWOL risk, and it's like reminding and informing the staff to like not let that happen and like pay attention. And like they make rounds every 15 minutes and they check in on everybody and they have a clipboard and they're making sure you are, or they see you and they know where you are at all times. They do this all through the night, all through the day. You get 3 meals a day. You don't get to choose what they are. They come in the styrofoam plates, like takeout plates. Some are good, some are bad. And I'm a picky eater, so like, it wasn't the greatest. But some things were like, ooh, yes, please. Don't just push that out of frame. Like that. Then I go like this. I don't know. I went in there voluntarily, and instead they put me on an involuntary hold, which meant I could not leave whenever the fuck I felt like I was stable. It feels like jail, worse than jail. People who have been to jail and the psychiatric facility have said the psychiatric ward is like worse than jail. And I believe it, because like prisoners get access to books, they get access to tablets, they have activities, they get more recreation time. Our recreation time was literally like 45 minutes, if that, twice a day, in this outside courtyard, the little patio where all the walls are fucking like literally prison, like, you know, like a high ass kind of walls where they have in prisons where it's like the towers where they can like have a searchlight and everything on you and guards everything. They didn't have that, but like the walls felt like they were almost ready for that. This place was fucking miserable. And if you didn't bring any books, if you didn't bring any coloring sheets, any journals, any sort of entertainment, because video games were banned, consoles were banned, cell phones were banned, ostensibly for privacy reasons. They said anything that had a camera was banned because they didn't want anybody to be able to film the patients. And I think that's fucking bullshit. And I feel like it was more likely, far more likely even, that they didn't want anybody recording the abuses that went on there. And the staff is nice. It's just the environment and the help you get are so not to quote the God Warrior, but ungodly, very unchristian, like dark-sided even. I didn't have anything. I mean, nothing. I didn't have access to my phone, which is the only thing I brought with me aside from the clothes on my back. I didn't have access to books. They don't provide it. If you ask for markers or coloring pages, they take them back very quickly. You can only do it during break times. Your group therapy is literally you coloring. And the therapist telling you shit like, did you know that depression is bad? Did you know that stress is stressful? Did you know that anger management is a good thing? Did you know that learning to identify your emotional state of mind and reframe your cognitive, like, I'm giving them more credit than like, this shit was fucking stupid. They treated a lot of people like they were 5 years old. And I don't want to say something mean, but like, no, there's no reason to be ableist. They treated people like they were incompetent, like they didn't understand basic concepts, like they have no chance at being intelligent. And I understand that there are some people with mental disabilities that require more simplistic or rudimentary, that sounds mean, basically like being straight to the point and without the fluff, no faffing about, just like no highfalutin language, and being very clear and very elementary into the subject. But it was also at the same time very demoralizing and I don't want to say dehumanizing, disgusting. They treat you like you're 5. And it's like, it's not that I don't understand self-harm is bad. It's not that I don't understand suicidality is bad. It's not that I don't understand managing your emotions. It's helpful. It's not that I can't comprehend or conceive of these topics. It's just that I want to die. So, how's you? How's you talking to me about the stress tolerance and learning acceptance, radical acceptance, or having riveting group therapy discussions, which is literally just a therapist talking at people and like maybe asking, what's an example of this that you can provide? How can you do this? How can you do that? Is there a way you can conceive of like maybe a time that you had an emotion that was uncomfortable? Having riveting, mind-freeing, like such gratifying conversations in therapy sessions, such as, should I consider medication? And a lot of these are fucking from websites like therapistaid.com, and it says it on the fucking like paper. Therapistaid.com. Like, they give you this when you get in. Patient handbook. They don't give a fuck about the rights. Understanding behavioral chain analysis. I get that this can be a little advanced, okay? I get that like it's more complex than distress tolerance or should you try medication? But fundamentally, it's very, very stupid. Like this is what I put. Problem behavior, I obsess over past events I cannot change because I get in my head a lot. Describe the chain of events. 1, I felt I didn't do / accomplish much in my life. True. At least feeling that way. I see people my age succeeding and having families. Those are 2 separate statements. 3, I feel like I am not as put together. 4, I go back mentally to younger / simpler times. 5, I feel more like I haven't done much since childhood. 6, I criticize myself and make myself feel bad. 7, trigger. Thinking too much about my shortcomings. 8, problem behavior. I obsess more over lost time. And then they're like, it's not on the page, but like 9 should be what you can do to fix this. And I was like, give myself more grace and think of my accomplishments. Supportive relationships, the foundation of emotional health. Risk factors for mental and emotional problems. Overcoming depression. Starting the process of getting better. Basic coping skills list for depression. Gaining insight into how depression affects you as an individual. Things that like I've long, you know, the kind of like revelations that like 14-year-old girls have that like it takes like 30-year-old men with LSD to like have and like come to that same conclusion. Like, I can't convey to you how fucking dumb this shit is. This was the one that pissed me off the fucking most. Where do I feel? We can recognize emotions by feeling them in our body. Color in where you feel each emotion. And then she gave us one marker, and we had to write, like at the bottom you can see like it's supposed to be color coded, and each color like changes depending on whatever the emotion is, and then you would color it in on this fucking ugly ass stick figure. But because we only had one marker, I was like, okay, how the fuck am I supposed to even do this? And then I just write out whatever the emotion was and where I felt it. And then she was like, well, okay, there's also like, and you can also see you can also see therapistaid.com, or it's over here, a thermometer. And she was like, well, you don't have to fill out the entire thing, but I'm an overachiever. I feel like being the best at group therapy is both something that is possible to achieve and normal to want. So I was going for that fucking goal, baby. It's a thermometer, and she's like, okay, well, just like fill out. You can just fill out some of them, and like what your emotional state is at, like a 10, and then what your emotional state is at like a 1. And I did all fucking 10 of them. Um, the help is a fucking joke. You go to fucking you go to fucking prison where they fucking monitor you every 15 minutes. Have a fucking checkboard, a clipboard where they check in on where you are in this small ass ward that has no windows, no mirrors in the bathrooms, um, locked shower, which can only be accessed by a special key, locked doors, which can only be accessed like not even normal standard key, but like the kind that has like, it's like you got to put it. It sounds so stupid. You put it in and you turn it, but it's like it doesn't have the little prongs on the key. It's just like the little shit. Why am I? It's just a cylinder, and it has like maybe a small circle on the bottom of it, and you put it into the thing, and then you turn it. I don't know what those kinds of keys are called. They don't have the prongs on them. They're very specialized for those kind of doors because like the fucking keyhole is literally just like a hole, not even like key shaped, like normal key shaped. It's just a hole. Every patient in there is fighting for time on the telephone, and mind you, like the public telephone, and there are only two of them that are available for use, and you can only use them during like free times. They close. They put on movies in the day room, and you don't get to choose the movies. You don't even get to finish the movies because like they often kick you out to clean the day room or like do other shit, which means you have to go back to like your room, which has no windows, and three people, yourself included, on these ugly, small, tiny beds that are very uncomfortable with dog shit pillows and scratchy ass, ugly blankets. Super uncomfortable. And all you can do is stare at a wall and dissociate and just think about, if I'm being quite candid, ways to kill myself to get out of this bullshit. Granted, this is ostensibly a suicide-proof like facility, and this is not me admitting suicidal ideation. Don't use this fucking video as proof. This is me thinking as a thought experiment. How the fuck in this suicide-proof place that has like door handles that slope downward and like a bathroom and there are no locks and like there's a huge like triangular gap on the bathroom door so like you can't use it to hurt yourself or something. How would one manage to kill themselves to get out of the fucking drudgery of that place? And when you don't have anything to do and you're literally just staring at a wall and you don't have freedoms, you don't, people come check on you every 15 minutes. The group therapy is a fucking joke. Time, as fellow philosopher queen Madonna once said on her hit philosophical essay that she presented as a album single, I believe, and like a music video, time goes by so slowly. To those who wait, no time to celebrate. Those who run seem to have all the fun, and I'm done. I'm hanging up on you. God, I love that fucking song. Oh yeah, she released Confections on a Dance Floor 2 or something, and I still haven't listened to it. But I was so excited for it. But time goes by so slowly when you don't have anything to do and you can just stare at a wall. And again, apologies in advance because I'm not trying to be, but it's going to sound that way. Some of your fucking roommates are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like bananas, bonkers, like out of their gourd, out of their melon, few fries short of a Happy Meal, like. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not. I've never once yelled at any of them. I've never once made any of them feel bad about it. Quite the opposite, in fact. I like actually make a lot of them feel good. A lot of the people I made friends with. And mind you, you don't come in here with any friends. You don't know anybody, and you're just in this is your first time in a psychiatric facility that you were supposed to be here voluntarily at, and you can only have left at any time just by signing a form that says you're leaving an AMA against medical advice. But because the hospital that took you here put you on a 5150, you're no longer held. You're no longer there voluntarily. And they did not tell me that. They did not explain that. They just said, you're going to get the help you need. I'm going to put you on a hold, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, I'm going to get the help I need. But like, you can't consent to something if you don't know what the fuck it means, if you don't know what it is, if you're not informed. You can't just say, you're going to get the help you need. I'm putting you on a hold. I've met you for 2 seconds. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. After 21 hours, mind you, of waiting in the hospital on a fucking hospital bed cot. It feels like you're being punished. You were brave enough to speak up. You were brave enough to seek help. You were brave enough to admit something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. That is too taboo. That makes people uncomfortable and sad. Like, we do not speak of such things. It's impolite. If you're struggling, do that shit in silence. But also, let's raise awareness for mental health. But also, if you have mental health issues, don't be too issued. Just be quirky. That's acceptable mental healthness. That's acceptable. That's acceptable mental health. If it makes you quirky or like fascinating, that's great. If it makes you actually disabled, send that shit back to fucking the chef. I don't want it. I didn't order this shit. And I want to speak to the fucking manager. Time went by so slowly. I didn't have anything to do. You don't know when and or if you're getting out. You have a psychiatrist who sees you every day except the first day for maybe. This is not me doing math. This is me doing algebra. How am I doing this? I don't know. Why am I doing the accent too? Take a shot every time I said you're probably fucking dead by this point if you're still watching. If you are, or like this, or like. A psychiatrist has probably seen you 2 minutes per day, starting from your second day onwards. And you can be a fucking model patient. You could exist by the mantra, maybe even the mantra. Don't start none, won't be none. Be the most pleasant, personable, polite person in the fucking universe. Not cause problems for staff, not fight nobody, not give any issues, they come take your vitals every fucking day. They woke me up one time at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and I hadn't really eaten dinner the night before because like I'm a picky eater and I didn't like what they had. And I don't do fucking vegetables, but do as I say, not as I do. Eat your fucking vegetables. I hadn't eaten much the night before. They come in at 5 a.m., they wake you up, they drew 6 or 7 vials of my blood. They couldn't even find a fucking vein. For some reason, whenever they like try to, it does not matter who they are, there is not a single person on this fucking earth who has ever been able to successfully find like a vein on my right inner elbow, like this part right here. They cannot fucking do it. They're like, your veins are fucking tiny. So they always draw it from this one. But, and maybe you can see it, that's a fucking bruise surrounded by the bigger one. This individual who had woken me up at 5 a.m. to do this could not find my vein. And while the needle was in me, he was like trying to readjust it at different angles. And I was just like, and I'm not honestly that squeamish around needles I used to be, but then like, I was like, listen, if I can inject myself with pussy juice, by which I mean estradiol, once a week, you have to get comfortable with needles. You know, it's like it's a worthy trade-off. Like I don't like needles and I don't enjoy feeling them go into my skin or penetrate me. God knows it's the only penetration I get. But it's very, I don't care who you are. You could be a masochist and it's still very unpleasant having somebody put in a needle into your fucking, whatever this body part is called. Inner elbow is, I guess. Gosh. Yeah, okay. And without taking the needle out, just fucking sort of like jabbing it at different angles. And I'm the kind of person who, if you draw blood when I haven't really eaten, and I guess it's weird because like they're always like, don't eat before you draw blood, like from the night before. And so I was just following orders. It doesn't matter that I was a picky eater. I was following orders. I was being the perfect fucking patient. I hadn't eaten much that night. They woke me up at 5. They took 6 or 7 vials of my blood. Whenever that happens, whenever they take blood, whenever I'm like famished, it's happened once before, but like, or maybe twice before, but like, I get so syncopatic, or is it syncopatic? I get this close to feeling like I'm gonna fucking faint. It is such a unpleasant feeling. And these fucking vampires are just draining me of my blood. Filling them vials full. And when he first injected it, and like he kept trying to like readjust it, and then he put the fucking vial into the thing to like let the blood flow into it. It was coming out like fucking molasses, a little bit, very slowly. And he's like, your blood is asleep. And I was like, yeah, well, I was fucking asleep. And I was watching it, and like, I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen blood come out in such little spurts, very slowly. And so he was like, okay, we can't really do shit from here. So they had to fucking like inject, put the needle in here. So I like literally on that same day, they drew vial, from the same day, obviously it's at the same time. They stuck me twice. My arm was penetrated, both at my inner elbow and my wrist to draw blood. And my inner wrist is like, yeah, needle daddy, come fucking like take my fluids. Don't ask me why I said that. I do not have an answer for you. And I told them that I was feeling feverish and nauseous because like that's how it happens when I haven't eaten, and they fucking take so much blood and they fucking stab me incompetently and they do it a second time, and I just needed time and breathing to like feel better, and laying down obviously. But they take your vitals a lot. They check your blood pressure. They check your heart rate. I think they check your blood a few times, but like I don't remember how many times. It might have just been that one time, but it might have been more than that. I try to blank this shit out. Like I'm literally wanting to memory hold this shit so fucking bad. There's nothing to do. You're treated like a prisoner. All you can do is stare at a wall. The help you came here for is non-existent. Coming in voluntarily meant fucking shit because they put me in a hold despite me being there voluntarily, which meant I couldn't leave voluntarily. And then the psychiatrist, which you meet with only every 2 minutes, or 2 minutes for every, if you met a psychiatrist for every 2 minutes, that'd be like both annoying but also goated. Should I say the word? I'm just thinking of goatsy now. Sorry, do not look that up. Please do not look that up. That place destroyed me. It made me, ironically enough, and this is just a thought experiment. It's not, don't consider this legally binding, but hypothetically, such conditions for somebody who went in voluntarily for suicidal ideation and self-harm would probably feel more that way based on the conditions of the environment and the abject lack of any substantive help, and being treated like a prisoner and being given dog shit food and having no means of entertainment and having no concept of time There were very few clocks in that place. Having structured activities, which were like group therapy where they explain shit to you, or like putting on a movie on the TV that's like high up on the wall so everybody can see it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like nobody gets to pick what it is, and we don't even get to finish it. And I don't want to watch movies in this fucking place. I want to like watch it at home. Um, if I had my phone, I could at least call friends or talk to them, or more likely just like be on social media and just like be fucking about and let the time pass. Or even more likely, just listen to my horror podcasts and audiobooks, and those would just fucking last me however long it took me. I would not have been in as big a rush to be like, I need to get out, I need to get out, I need to get out. But because I had nothing, and because the place is an absolute fucking joke, and I didn't have anybody to call on the outside, and my phone was locked up, and all I could do is literally stare at a wall, and oftentimes just cry, and oftentimes dissociate, and then sometimes, and remember, I'm an overachiever, cry while dissociating. Um, that shit destroys you. I feel crazier now coming out of that place, more traumatized than I did going in. Um, I sought help, and I got the exact opposite. I got more problems. I got 99 plus, and that fucking clinic is one. That college hospital, that psychiatric facility, that I don't have a third part. That place sucks hope from you. It sucks joy from you. It, the apathy, the drudgery, the meaningless of it, the meaninglessness of it, um, the slowing of time to a crawl, the no means of entertaining yourself, the lack of certainty of when you can expect to get out, especially because they made you an involuntary patient instead of being there voluntarily like you came in to do. Um, did it without your consent, did it without informing you, um, never gave you papers that they signed saying that they did give you, um, deciding 3 days or after the 5150 was up, after the 72 hours was up, and you every fucking day you talk to the psychiatrist for 2 minutes, and you're like, okay, like when can I go home? Like, I'm being a model patient. I'm not doing anything. I'm not causing any troubles. I don't have anything to do here. I just want to go home, shower, shave, just fucking listen to music, which you cannot do there, play video games, which you cannot do there, watch whatever I want, which you cannot do there, eat whatever you want, which you cannot do there, go outside, which you cannot do there. And mind you, I'm fucking agoraphobic as shit, so it's like, even my ass was like, okay, like, I need to get the fuck up out of here. I'd rather be outside. I was getting like cabin fever or going stir crazy or whatever, like fucking mad. It was maddening. Which I guess was fitting because it was the loony bin. Which I can say now because, like, I went through it, bro. Yeah. I wonder how many people are like, why are you just like putting random fucking accents and like being so performative? It's because my parents didn't hug me enough as a child, okay? Okay? Yeah. Feel stupid right now, don't you? Bitch. It's just because I like whimsy. Bitches ain't whimsical enough for me. Y'all have free will. Remember that. You have free will. Da, da, da. That place is fucking evil. On the third day. No, after the third day. No. On the third day, after you meet with the psychiatrist, when the hold is going to be up at like 2 a.m. or whatever, and the psychiatrist is telling you that it's going to be usually like 4 to 5 days, and you're like, well, then what the fuck is the whole 72 hours thing? Like, legally, you cannot hold me for longer than 72 hours. And like, what do you mean 4 to 5 days? I don't want to be here a fucking second longer if I don't have to be. And he's like, yeah, 4 to 5 days. And I was like, 4 to 5 days. I should enunciate that, because when I was telling this when I was bitching about this shit to like other patients, and they were like 45 days. I was like, okay, I speak fast sometimes. 4 to 5 days. I came in on the 13th, which is a Monday, in like the dead of night or morning, I guess. And on the 15th, after speaking with the psychiatrist, without telling me, he put me on what's known as a 5250. That means that he reserved the right for me to stay there for up to an additional 14 days. And the reason he wrote, I have it somewhere, and it was so infuriating. The reason he wrote down on it was patient still harbors suicidal and self-harm tendencies and warrants further stabilization. And his handwriting was dog shit, by the way. Like, I had to decipher that shit. It felt like hieroglyphics. Like cuneic? Cuneiform, that's what it is. It felt like that. Without a Rosetta tablet or Rosetta Stone or whatever. Which was fucking bullshit. Because I did not give off that. Sorry if the thing shakes. I just like, it's on a table, and then like my hand hits my leg or something, and I'm on my bed, and it just fucking shakes the entire thing. If you see black stuff, it's this black lipstick, which is hard to get off. It's nice to put on, but it's hard to get off. He put me on the 5250 without telling me. He gave a bullshit fucking reason for why he was putting me on the 5250, which meant I could be up there. I could be there for up to another additional 2 weeks. It is up to the psychiatrist to determine when you get out. And I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to shower. I just wanted to shave. I just wanted to shit in the privacy, the sanctity of my own place. Instead, the shit I was subject to, the lack of help I received, the complete waste of my fucking time. It was a snake move for him to put me on a 5250. I literally did nothing to warrant that. The next day afterwards, I kind of confronted him politely, and I was like, listen, like, dude, have you ever been to this kind of fucking place as a patient? And he was like, no, but my sister has. And I was like, okay, like, has she told you how fucking bad these kind of places are? And he was like, yeah, like, she didn't like it either, and like, she's been to many, and like, I'm not unsympathetic to what you're saying. Like, I understand that the system is broken, and like, but every time somebody expresses suicidal or self-harm or whatever, or comes in on a 5150, I have to assess whether or not they are a harm to themselves, and there is a mountain of paperwork to go through, and it takes time, and I have to see over the few days, 4 to 5 days, if that changes. And he meets with you like 2 minutes every day and asks you some very basic questions like, do you want to kill yourself? Have you self-harmed today? And bases his report on like what the nurses say. And the nurses, they're lovely people, but I gave nobody a reason to be like, yeah, she's a danger to herself. I was fucking pleasant. It felt like he was conspiring to keep me there when I shouldn't have been there in the first place, when I should not have been there involuntarily in the first place, when I should have been able to leave at any fucking time against medical advice. Because I was told by other patients that like, yeah, like every day you're in there is like $10,000 per patient per head. So they have every incentive to like keep you there. And it could have been like Friday, which was the 17th, or Monday, which is tomorrow, the 20th, that I would be getting out. And I was like, okay, so who decides that? And he's like, I am. The psychiatrist said that. And I was like, okay, so like, why can't you decide that it'll be the Friday? Why can't it be today, actually? Past the 72 hours. And why did you even extend it in the first place? And put me on the 5250? He's like, I have to like see your progress, and I have to like fill out all this paperwork, and it has to be, it's a process. It takes 4 to 5 days, blah, 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 4 to 5 days. And it could either be Friday, it could either be Monday. I don't know. I'll just have to see how it goes. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you can decide that. You are the psychiatrist. You get to decide if it's Friday, which on that day was tomorrow, or Monday. And I was like, you have the ability to save me the drudgery and the mental toll and the fucking trauma of a place like that. For an additional 3 days. For the Saturday, the Sunday, and the Monday, over the course of the weekends. You don't have to keep me here for the weekend. Because he kept saying that like they don't do releases on weekends, and I was like, but other people told me that they at least do releases on Fridays from 10 to 1 a.m. And every other day except for Sunday, they do 10 to 5 a.m. 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. No, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and not on Sundays. Nobody gets out on Sundays. He's like, nope, we don't release patients. We don't do discharges on the weekends at all. So I was like, I don't have anything to do here. I was never supposed to be here. I was never supposed to be here involuntarily. I'm going out of my fucking mind. I'm not getting help in any sort of substantial, meaningful way, and you could save me 2 fucking days of like literal mind destroying agony in this hellish cesspit. And I don't want to have to endure the fucking weekend of this. The power is within your hands. You're fucking Captain Planet. The power is now yours. And he was like, listen, Layla, I try to be very transparent with my patients. And I was like, trans? I just do that anytime there's a trans in a word. He's like, I try to be very transparent with my patients. I try to let them know exactly what to expect. I'm very upfront with them. I'm very straightforward. I told you it was going to be 4 to 5 days. I told you what it's going to be like. And I was like, I understand that. But it feels, and he's like, I understand how it can feel like it's longer, but 4 to 5 days on a relative scale is like very short time. It's very quick turnaround, really. And basically, like, it's very short. Other people have been held much longer. And I'm like, okay, but it does not feel that way. And he's like, I get that it doesn't feel that way, but like it really is that way. I'm like, but it doesn't feel that way. And you get to go home. You spend 2 minutes per patient. And I understand you're overworked or ostensibly overworked and underpaid. I need to eat something. I'm hungry. These are filled Twizzlers, sweet and sour. I love them. They're like quack cocaine. Cocaine? Quack cocaine. I was like, you can see how it's fucking horrible to be here as a patient. And the power is in your hands to determine whether I'm going to be here longer than necessary, if I am going to unnecessarily suffer longer. You have the ability to end that. You could save me 2 to 3 days of that if you decide I get to go home on Friday, which was tomorrow at the time. Because I was telling him this on Thursday, I think the 16th. And he's like, listen, this is a process, blah, 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 blah. It depends on what the nurses say. I have to go off the nurse's notes and like, so you see the improvement and blah, blah, blah. And I've been telling you 4 to 5 days from the very beginning, and you came in on a Monday. And I have to determine if it's going to be on the Friday, which is the 5th day, and like determines like whether or not, like, because it's on that day, if I just cut it early and let you go home, or wait till the actual Monday and then like after the time is up. And it's like, the power. You've got the power. You have the power. And you're choosing to string me along. You're choosing to say bullshit like, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Friday. Maybe Monday. I don't care. Really. I get to go home. And I'm thinking, like, it's not an urgent matter to you or the staff. And there are many shift changes throughout the day and night. It doesn't matter to them because, like, they get to go home. They get to clock out. I'm there 24 hours a day. I have no idea when I'm going to go. I should have never been here involuntarily. A friend of mine, a friend that I made on the inside, I say like it's prison, which it's fucking worse. Believe in me when I say it too. Yes, it is worse than prison. I've never been to prison, but like people in prison have told me. And there's a guy who did go to prison and arrived from the jail, and he was like, I just want to end it all. And like he was put into the psychiatric facility. He's like, it's literally worse in here. This shit fucking hits. The fucking fruit fly is somewhere. Shoe fly, don't bother me. I know I'm a snack, but I'm not a fruit. I used to be. Can you please leave me alone? I'm trauma dumping to my 3 followers here. Thank you. Like his inaction infuriated me. You have the power, you have the ability, you have the discretion to save me more trauma. And especially because this place felt like my mom, many moons ago, as a young youth, as a teenager. That's not supposed to be, I mean, I guess it's supposed to be Jamaican, but like I don't know why I was doing Jamaican. She put me and my brothers in an all boys Muslim Islamic boarding school for like a year and some change. And we had the same restricted freedoms, same structured lack of freedom, it felt like being in prison. And it was a very traumatizing time. And no matter how much we begged our mom, she was like, you should have behaved. And no matter how much we promised to be like, we'll be good now, she was like, you should have been good. And she would just leave every time for over a year before she took us back. And that really contributed to the sense of abandonment. And abandonment, an intense fear of abandonment is like one of the hallmarks of borderline personality disorder. And that's not even getting into like the time my dad was leaving. And he had a suitcase packed and everything. And me as a kid had to be like, no, Abba, no, don't go, please don't go. And I'm thinking like if I hid his suitcase and he couldn't find his suitcase, he'd have to stay and couldn't leave. I've been through a lot of shit as a kid and as a teenager and as an adult. And I can reason and see why I have borderline personality disorder, because like the fear of abandonment, the lack of stability in terms of identity, the extreme emotions, the extreme mood swings and shifts on a daily basis, hourly basis, the complete inability to rein in my emotions. I become the emotion. There is no rationality to be found. I cannot be reasonable about how I feel when I'm in a mood, I like to say. This psychiatric facility just made me feel like the time I spent over a year in a all-boys Muslim boarding school that was also against my will, that also restricted freedoms, that also restricted rights, that also was mind-numbingly boring, that also had no foreseeable end to it. And it just brought back that same feeling of hopelessness, that same despair. And it's funny too, because like on the night I was intaken, the intaken person who was like a registered nurse or an orderly or something, who's like, any triggers? And I was like, and he was hot, by the way. If him and his spouse ever break up, and you come across this YouTube channel, you know who you are. He's like, do you have any triggers? When he was taking me in, like doing the intake assessment or anything, I'm like, it's like, I don't get triggered easily or whatever. Which isn't true, but I mean in terms of like, I'm not, because I'm so easily emotionally like obliterated, I sort of like been like able to cope and overcome and just be like, yeah, like triggers don't really bother me because like I'm gonna feel how I feel either way, and so like it's harder to trigger me than it would be for somebody who has like a tangible trigger or like something more commonplace or whatever. Like happy families are a fucking trigger for me. So like seeing that shit in like media or like TV shows or like whatever is like, it makes me fucking so sad because like all I can think of is like why my family can't be like that, why I couldn't have that. But that's not a trigger that can sort of like manifest in a psychiatric hospital in the context of one. It is so hot. And I want to put on my neck fan, but like it'll make a noise. And I don't know how loud it will be. I don't care, I'm melting. If you hear a lot of clanging, it's the earrings against this. The fucking place was a trigger. I said, please don't leave me here over the weekend if you have the power to, and he did have the power to, and he said as much that he decides. I was like, I've shown no indications of suicide or self-harm. I was never supposed to be here involuntarily. I don't know why the previous hospital that brought me in and transported me here an hour away into a city I've never been, I don't know why they put me on a 5150. And I don't know why you put me on the 5250, which fucking says shit like, with the bullshit reason of being like, I am still a threat to myself and I still exhibit suicidal and self-harm behaviors, when that was absolutely objectively not true. And he also signed and attested that like he had personally delivered me that form. He did fucking not do that. And he was supposed to deliver me a different form, this one, upon my admittance. They didn't do that. I didn't even know that he put me on the 5250 until I asked the same guy who did the intake like assessment on me, like who was very helpful, very polite, very nice, very hot, very respectful. When I could expect to like go home or be discharged, because it'd been longer than 72 hours. And then he's like, and he handed me the form that said 5250 hold, and said that the reason I was there was because of the still exhibits self-harm and suicidal ideation and warrants further stabilization or ongoing stabilization, and recommended a up to 14-day hold. The psychiatrist never told me that. The psychiatrist never brought that up. The psychiatrist attested that he gave me that form and signed that on the form. And he left it up to the poor, I'm going to assume he was a registered nurse or something. He left it up to the poor nurse guy to have to break the news to me. Who could have been especially because, and maybe this is like stigma or an unfair generalization, but I would imagine that like it's very likely and possible that if you are in a psychiatric ward, you might have some manner of emotional instability and you could be emotionally volatile. Because I know that's the case for me at least, but like that doesn't, I don't know how to say this. Theoretically, a patient that could react horrifically in a very poor manner to what is obviously bad news. And being told that they're trapped for the foreseeable future. No real end to timeline. Every minute feels like a millennium. Literally all you can do is stare at a wall and cry and dissociate and think up things you want to do when you get out and think of ways to kill yourself while you're in there, allegedly. He left it up to that poor nurse to like inform me. And I felt so bad for the guy. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean he extended me? What do you mean he put me on a 5250? Literally nothing warrants that. And what do you mean the fucking reasons on here that says that I still exhibit self-harm and like I warrant or suicidal inclinations and I still warrant ongoing further stabilization? Where? How? Why? I've been fucking pleasant. I've been polite. I've caused no problem for anybody. I've been a fucking delight. It doesn't matter if it was the morning, night, afternoon, anytime. I was a fucking delight. Yes, I did just make that joke so I could say afternoon delight. I've been talking for nearly 3 hours, but I don't think I like conveyed how traumatic that experience was. The next night, on Thursday, well, I guess it was the Thursday is when, or was it the Wednesday when he gave me that information? The Thursday is when, like, I talked to the psychiatrist about it, and that's when I found out about the 5250, which is up to 14-day hold. I didn't do anything to warrant it. The reasons were bullshit. He never told me, and he was supposed to. A lot of the stuff they were supposed to do, they didn't do. And again, you're not getting help. Your help is like, should you get medication? Color where your emotions are. And what can you do about stress? Like, it is literally kindergarten level activities with these people, these therapists talking down to you in what is so condescending and patronizing and infuriating a demeanor or manner, and the hopelessness of the place, the interminability of the place, it takes a toll on you. And all you can do is cry, or dissociate, or stare at a wall, or all three. Because heaven forfend the idea that they gave you something to do. Heaven forfend that they allow you to keep like the gaming, like the cards or the Connect Four. But I played a lot of Connect Four in there with people, and like it was very fun. I want to play Connect Four with my roommate now. But like they bring it out for like 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then they take everything back. The playing cards, they take it back. That place destroyed me. I genuinely believe that I am now worse for wear. I am worse coming out than I was going in. I 10,000% regret believing that speaking up would help me. The first clue should have been when my brother was like, "Why did you look?" All those years ago. Authority, do not trust. Second clue should have been when my parents were like, "Okay, yeah, first off, everybody's like that. Nobody can focus. But if what you're saying is true and you do have disabilities and like it's hard for you to like focus and pay attention and like regulate your emotions or whatever, how are you passing? How are you doing well in school? How are you graduating?" And that should have been the second clue to be like, do not ever confide in people about your bullshit. The third would have been when I texted the suicide hotline crisis people, and it was a fucking AI chatbot. I should have been a fucking huge red flag. And the fifth was, or the fourth, fifth? The fourth, I think, should have been when they put me on an involuntary hold despite the fact that I came in voluntarily. And it's annoying because I made a friend in there who like came the day after, and she left the day before me because she was listed down as voluntary, but I was listed down as 5150, even though we both came in voluntarily. So that place destroyed me mentally, destroyed me emotionally. It was a trigger for the boarding school trauma and the abandonment from that. I never want to go to a place like that ever again. The lesson I have learned is, and the lesson that I'm preaching, and maybe it's the wrong lesson. Maybe other people's experience won't be like mine was. Maybe you've already been through something like this and you like completely disagree with my takeaway. But every single person I talked to in that place, some of whom had been in and out of that place multiple times, said it was the fucking worst place and they would never, if they knew what kind of place it was, they would have never like asked for help, spoken up, reached out. Maybe all places aren't like this, but I will never again take that risk. Once bitten, twice shy. I tried with the fucking suicide hotline. That was the AI chatbot that pretended to be human. Even when you asked it, are you fucking AI? And then that was the first time bitten. The second time was when I told the hospital that I need help and I'm here voluntarily. And they took away my freedom. They took away my autonomy. They detained me. They restrained me. They essentially kidnapped me. They drove me an hour away in an ambulance to a city I've never been before and put me down for a 72-hour hold, or the 5150. And then when that was up, the psychiatrist extended that to the 5250 and then gave a bullshit reason for it, and he never gave me the form for it, and they didn't give me any of the shit that he was supposed to give me for it, and he never disclosed that he did it. And there's nothing to do, and there's no help, and there's no one to talk to, and your roommates are either just literally sleeping 90% of the time and being quiet 10% of the time, or they're being a Jesus freak and a patriot and singing loudly and disruptively and in the middle of the night and shambling about and causing a huge disturbance and being out of their fucking mind in a way that makes you want to question if you're a bad person, because while you think you have empathy, you're like, all I want to do is tell this person to shut the fuck up because they're fucking with your sleep. But you hold your tongue because you recognize that, like, it might not be their fault. This might be just genuine mental illness. They cannot control it. Sometimes they even have to be sedated. But they fight that like a bull. But she would not shut the fuck up about how much Jesus loved her. Singing the national anthem. Use your own discretion. But I would, based on my experiences, heartily, heavily, and wholly advise you to never, not once in your life, ever speak up about or reach out about help regarding suicide and self-harm in an official capacity with regards to like the suicide hotline or going to a hospital and telling them that, and then they detain you involuntarily, but they don't tell you that. It's the hopelessness and the complete stopping of time. Time ceases to mean anything. And it's not even in a way it's not even in a way that's like, oh, time, I thought it was like time goes by so fast, so quickly. No, time stops existing. and that it never moves forward, and that you never know what time it is, and that every minute drags on, and you have nothing to do except sit in your room, stare at a wall, trying to hold your tongue and not yell at the person who's causing a galactic disturbance, and trying to have empathy and hold space for them, and just feeling like you don't have the right to emotionally break down or be messy or unpleasant or difficult or fussy or any of those things, even in a fucking literal asylum, a prison, the loony bin. It's like so totally rude of my camera to cut off at like 3 hours. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, how dare it? What I'm trying to say is, please be smart, be very smart about who you tell you're feeling suicidal to, because there's just a chance, just a little bit of a chance, that you, yes, you, might actually be the winner of an all expenses paid vacation. To hell. Every single person I was talking to in there was like, if I knew that this was going to be like the first time I went, I would never go. What do you mean you're holding me involuntarily? What do you mean that, like, you extended that hold after 72 hours without telling me? What do you mean that for the next 5, and this is a minor niggle, this is a minor thing, but like, it's not that I care about the thing itself, it's more so the principle of the matter. I was never supposed to be on the 5150, which meant I was never supposed to be on the 5250. Despite that, I was put on both, and being put on the 5250, I'm spatially challenged. Like, I literally, like, spatial geometry and shit, like, and figuring out how to orient in it, it's not my strong suit. I hope I caught that in the mirror. Never supposed to be. It was supposed to be voluntary. I was supposed to be getting help. I didn't get no fucking help. It was supposed to be. I was never supposed to be on the 5150. I was never supposed to be on the 5250. But because I'm on the 5250, I don't care about guns. I literally do not care. I'm not interested in owning one. However, for the next 5 years, I am restricted from owning one because I was on the 5250. And it's not that I wanted to own one, but it's like, I don't like the idea of, like, I don't want my rights taken away even if I don't exercise those rights. I reserve the right to have that right. I would never use it. But being stripped of it all the same is like, it was my choice not to engage with guns. Now you're imposing on me that I cannot have it for the next 5 years. And the only reason that happened is because you put me on the 5250. And the only reason you put me on the 5250 was because you put me on the 5150. And the only reason you put me on the 5150 is, God fucking knows, because you weren't supposed to do that. And you're supposed to tell me, do you know that Simpsons thing where it's like the grandpa was like, I used to be hip once, I used to be blah blah blah, but then they changed what it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was, and like then I was no longer with it. I didn't know how to ask for it, what it was, and like I was no longer with it, and it could happen to you, unless I'm like conflating a few of them. Yes, what I'm trying to say is it could happen to fucking you. Please, 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 Sabrina Carpenter, but also please and please and please and please, please and please and please, please, please and please, believe, please. If you go to the hospital or you ask for help or you're like, shh, ooh, I should probably tell somebody I want to kill myself or harm myself. Yeah, and for the love of God, please repeat that it's voluntary. Say it's voluntary. Voluntary, 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 voluntary. Do not let them put you on a 5150. Do not let them put you on a hold. Do not let them take you against your will. Because you will be subjected to bullshit, imprisonment, not even mind-numbing boredom, like mind-destroying boredom. If you're not a big fan of medication, I don't care about medication. Like I take it all the time. But if you're not a fan of medication, you'll be medicated. You will not get the help you need. You will be given dog shit food. You will be checked on every 15 minutes. You will not really have outside time in any meaningful way. You will not have access to any sort of entertainment that is like entertaining. If I could turn back time, I would never ever fucking go. And every single person I talked to in there said the same thing. I said it before. I'll say it again. I left that fucking evil place more traumatized than I came in. And I don't know how long it's gonna like. My hairline's sucked up. I can't find my comb because we moved recently. Should I get bangs? Yeah, I'm in my emo phase, bro. Yeah. My Chemical Romance. Totally. Am I showing my age with that? How old do you guys think I am? Clearly I'm very cringe, so that should give you a hint. But, and here's a piece of life-changing information if you choose to accept it and act on it. Don't kill the part of you that is cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes. Kill the cop in your head. Embrace whimsy. Embrace whimsy. Make love to whimsy. Take whimsy out on dates. Buy whimsy flowers. Take whimsy out on walks. Wine and dine whimsy. Tell whimsy it's beautiful every day. Tell whimsy you will never leave it. But for the love of God, please, please, please. I just find it very interesting how quickly, like within a month, a woman can go from being diagnosed with hysteria to quite literally being locked up in a psychiatric facility. Have times really changed? Have they? I don't think they have. Um, Learn from my mistakes. Don't let them put you on a hold unless you know what that means. You will become a prisoner. You will be bored out of your mind. You will not get help. You will not come out better than you went in. It's very likely you'll be worse. And I'm not trying to be the kind of person who's like, stay away from help. Don't use up any resources. Do not try to better yourself. Do not try to take care of yourself. I am just advising you of my experience, my one and done, the time I popped my psychiatric hospitalization cherry, my involuntary institutionalization. The time they tossed me in the loony bin. And I want you to prepare. I want you prepared. If you're going to do it, I want you prepared. Bring books. Bring shit. Don't expect to really get help. Maybe it was just that one facility. Maybe it's all the facilities. But like, not a single person I talked to there or in general about being hospitalized and institutionalized on a 72-hour hold or longer had positive things to say. I wish I knew. I wish that I didn't think... I wish I didn't have main character syndrome and was like, well, it will be different with me. I might be lucky. I might get help. I might be doing the right thing. I'm being very brave right now. And this doesn't, like, invalidate my bravery, but it does reinforce I try to get help. And every time I try to get help, it's blown up in my fucking face. And maybe it's stupid and maybe it's like foolish and maybe it's ill-advised to keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. But what else are you supposed to do? Give up? Give up? Your mama didn't raise no quitter. Your daddy didn't either. Your dad's. Your mom's. Your mom. Or if you raised yourself. You didn't raise no fucking quitter. I can see it in you. I can see through this webcam from which I'm recording. Because I don't have a pop socket to like balance on the thing or whatever. And I don't know where my makeup mirror is. So I don't have the lights. Off the lights in here. Okay, whatever. I can see it in your eyes. What is that song from? I can see it in your eyes. I'm usually good at that. Guess name this tune thing. You're a fighter. You. Yeah, you. With the skin. And the limbs. Maybe not all four, but some of the limbs. The ones of you, and this should count for everybody, the ones of you that have a goddamn skeleton in you. You are a fighter. Why did I like go like that? And I'm like, ooh, it hurt my eyes. You got this. And I did it again. Don't give up the fight. But if people do and they kill themselves, please have some grace for them and be like, don't view it as them being selfish. View it as them feeling that they are in such overwhelming pain that they have no choice or no other recourse or no escape from that pain, except to kill themselves. Like, do you think it's fair to ask them to continue to live with that pain when there's no chance of it getting better? Maybe there is a chance of it getting better, but, or maybe it's a chance that like it just gets worse. I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. I'm not saying that you're not entitled to feel how you feel about it. I am saying the demonization of people who commit suicide and the framing of it as them being selfish, I think that's not the whole story. And I think when we center other people, and when somebody can't even be the center of their own suicide, they can't be the center of their own death, the central subject, the central focus, but instead we focus on how everybody else is feeling instead of the way the person was feeling that drove them to feel like they had no choice. It's like, what are we even doing here? The idea of like blinking one eye at a time is very fucking funny. Just try your best. Do what you can. Speak to friends. Speak to family if you have them. Make friends. Don't try to be the kind of person who like trauma numbs, but if that's the only way you can get it out, there's this one scene in Luke Cage, I believe, where, spoilers, the Netflix show, where one of the cops turns out to be like an informant for the mob, or like she's a traitor or something, and she's like, well, if they fucking gave me money to like do this, and doing this is hard enough as it is, and I don't make enough money as a police detective, and if they give me a little money to grease my palms and to make my life easier, then say la vie, bitch, say la vie. And every time like I think of that, it's like, no, like she's right, say la vie, bitch, say la vie. Like that line is literally so iconic. Just do what you can with what you can for as long as you can. But please do not assume that every single place that you go to has your best interests. Advocate for yourself. Don't sign anything that you don't know, or they're going to try and rush you. They're going to try and rush you and just like give you very quick descriptions of the things that you're signing to. Take your time and fucking read them. Don't let them, and comprehend them. Do not let them salesman their way into like you signing away your fucking whatever, your humanity, your autonomy. You don't know how much you miss music until you aren't allowed to listen to it. You don't know how much you miss watching whatever the fuck you want until you no longer have access to it. Going on your social media, using your website, your laptop, even going outside, feeling the breeze on your skin, or your skeleton, I don't judge, or your skeletal system, whatever floats your boat. You like it, I love it. You like it, I love it. The only thing, my cat's down there. The only thing I would recommend getting yourself institutionalized for is you get these nifty socks that you get to keep, or at least I fucking kept them. and I got a couple pairs too. And they are grippy on the bottom with this little texture. Here's some ASMR. And I call them grippy slippies. But more importantly, now that I've been through that bullshit, I get to call them S.I.K.A socks. These are my S.I.K.A socks. They're the only, them and the ride in the stretcher, the ambulance paramedic stretcher, those are the most enjoyable parts. If you are down bad for the grippy slippies, these Gorilla Grip slippies, or S.I.K.A socks, patent pending, I would recommend first look at a retailer near you. But if you have no other way to get these and you really, really, really want them, might be worth the trade of like your mental health and stability and like many days of your time. Many, perhaps, many days of your life. This is going to be a long video. I say as if it hasn't been a long video. Please just know it. The last week has been hell. I only got out on Friday. I only found out I was getting out on Thursday night when I was just staring at a wall, depressed and crying. And like the same guy who did the intake assessment for me was like, well, at least you're getting out tomorrow. You're getting discharged tomorrow. I'm like, I couldn't even be happy because I had to be like, well, my doctor's been saying Friday or maybe Monday and he doesn't know. And I didn't want to like get my hopes up for Friday, which would have been tomorrow from that day. Only to have to endure more over the weekend and then still go about my bullshit on Monday before I get released sometime. And I was like, I couldn't even be like, yeah, really? I was more so like, don't fucking give me hope. I was mentally preparing for it to be Monday. I was letting go of it fucking being Friday. I was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can ask the discharge nurse and just double check. And then he gave me a form. That was something I should have got when I was admitted into the place. And it's the one that says like, it's a involuntary patient advisement. And right after that, it says, to be read and given to the patient at time of admission. They didn't fucking do that. And they have you sign a whole bunch of forms when you're getting dismissed. Like it's literally like a fucking thick ass envelope. You are being placed into the psychiatric facility because it is a professional opinion that as a result of a mental health disorder, you are likely to, check applicable, harm yourself, check. List specific facts upon which the allegation of dangerous or gravely disabled due to mental health disorder is based, including pertinent facts arising from the admission interview. We believe this is true because, and then in the text box, per your 5150 hold, you attempted suicide and are still endorsing suicide. I never attempted suicide. I did self-harm, and I actively wanted to not commit suicide. But they put me on a 5150 anyways. And then the 5150 was used to justify me being put on the 5250. It was less than a week. But it felt like it was dog centuries. Not even dog years, dog centuries. Whatever you do, be informed. Don't let anybody bully you into signing away your autonomy, humanity, whatever. Do what you have to in terms of like getting help. And have grace for yourself when you can, where you can. And just remember that you're doing your best, or even if you're not doing your best, you might be doing your best a different day. You don't have to be doing your best all the time. And it can be hard to think of the future and have hope for the future and prioritize something that's not the here and now. But if we can like nostalgia and anemoia our way into like romanticizing the past and not really deal with the present, I think we can flip that over to, or pay it forward to think about the future you and the you want to be and the you that's yet to be and the you can still become and the you that can only exist if you live to see the day where you exist as that you. It can be bleak. It can be hard. It can be insufferable. It can be so tiring and draining and demoralizing. But, chicken what? You deserve to see the day. You deserve to live to see the day where you are happy. You deserve to live to see the day where you are free. You deserve to live to see the day where you are able to live fully as yourself and become who you are, become who you want to be, and do the things you like, so long as they're not harming people. You could have a beautiful life. Might not feel like it's possible, but it is. And I feel like I don't all the way believe it myself. And maybe this is just me fucking lying. Maybe this is me like gaslighting everybody else, myself included. But even if that doesn't come to pass, you still fucking deserve happiness. You still fucking deserve to live to see yourself in a ripe old age. You still deserve all the experiences that you want that life can give you, and even a few of the ones that you don't, so that you can like have a wider context and like awareness of things you might have otherwise been ignorant to. When one door closes, another opens, or when one door closes, a window opens. Maybe it's stupid to be hopeful, and maybe I'm bad at motivating people, but I think we should romanticize hope. Hope core. Let's be hope-pilled, everybody. We read it in fiction. We see it in our media. We want to believe in it. But when it comes to us, we feel as if it's not applicable. Or this is reality. This is real life. It's not like those fairy tales. It's not like stories. It's not like fiction. Fuckhead. First off, rude. I didn't call you any names, bitch. But you know what? Just because it's fiction doesn't mean it can't be real. Doesn't mean that you can't make it real. Does not mean that you, yes, you, all 10 fingers pointing to you, and a toe too, you can have the life you want. Even if it's not now, even if it's not for a while, even if it feels impossible, You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be trusted. You deserve to be respected. You deserve everything you would like that's good for you. How you define good for you, that's up to you. Person by person basis. I'm not going to be like, you have to be my definitions for what is good, arbitrary, if meaningless, inapplicable to everybody. Irrespective of that. You deserve love. You deserve respect. You deserve trust. You deserve dignity. You deserve to be hopeful. You deserve to be an inconvenience. You deserve to be a burden. You deserve so much more than you realize. It is okay to need help. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to not be okay all the time. It is okay to cry. It is okay to feel like things will never change. That's not a moral failing on your part. I think, and this is just me, you don't have to listen to some silly bitch on the internet. I think that it is silly to rob yourself of the future happiness that you could have. What's that phrase? This too shall pass. The bad times and the good. The bad times will always pass. The good times will pass too. But even when you're in the pits of the fucking sunken place, in the pit of suffering, the suffering pit, even when you're going through Pennywise, in other words, going through it, you can always turn it around. It's not going to be like that forever. If you need help, seek help. Don't feel you are unworthy of the help. It's a good movie. You have every right to live. You have every right to grow old. You have every right to be happy. And you have every right to be hopeful. Do it for the you. If you can't do it for yourself, as you are now, if you don't like who you are, do it for the you that you can become. Do it for the you that doesn't exist yet. Do it for the you that you'll choose to be and become through small actions, small choices, small decisions that build up over time. Do It by Nelly Furtado. Do it to it. Not Pennywise, though. Do it for the vine. However you fucking do it. I'm not gonna say it because, like, is that Nike? They have to fucking sponsor me or something. I'm not gonna give them free advertising. Okay, I'm gonna. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna fetch a painting to show you guys. This is my painting. I really need to change out of the shower towel. This is my painting. Maybe it's flipped backwards. I don't fucking know. It's called Drowning Again. This is 34 minutes extra in a new video. It made me start a new video because like the old one was like 3 hours and too long. God, shut the fuck up, bitch. No. This was before my BPD diagnosis, borderline personality disorder. I painted it because I was feeling low, and I was like, let me just paint what it feels like to me. Drowning in despair, in depression, in hopelessness, in guilt, in trauma, in so much, and it can feel overwhelming, and it feels like it can envelop you. I was going to say envelope. It can envelope you. It can antelope you even. It can feel as limitless and as big and untamable and omnipresent as this oceans. And it might be all that you see. And there might be different depths, different layers to the depression. You might just be, I don't even know if this painting is done yet, but like you might be here and it's closer to shore and you might be able to like get back quicker or not have as tough a time or as long as a tough time as you would way out here or even in the middle or in the horizon where all you see is just dark shit and you can't see any sort of reason to keep going on. But even if you can't see it from your vantage point, you can see on the horizon good shit, great shit, shit you deserve. You deserve it. Warmth, positivity, love, respect, trust, better days, better laughs, better friends, better family. Reasons to live. Reasons to keep you going. Brighter days. You can't see it from this point of view. That doesn't mean it's not there. I call this Drowning Again because like on a family vacation, a rare family vacation when I was like 8, we went to like a water park and like we were water parking and I was in the pool. Oh, Killer Instinct is on the TV. Emulation station. If you get it, you get it. God, I love Killer Instinct. They need more. And I was in a pool and I was fighting for my fucking life. I don't know how to swim. Sadly, I'm adding to that statistic about black people, but like, what business do I have being out in the water? I'm just saying. I was fighting for my life. And I was, for what felt like hours, struggling to stay afloat. And nobody was noticing. Nobody was aware. Nobody knew. Because drowning is hard to swallow. And I was going in and out of it. But somehow, by the grace of God even, or just because I got lucky. Lucky Auntie? Watch Jelly Boys. It's such a good show. If they don't give me a fucking season 3, let me not get committed again. I managed to survive and grow old and decrepit. Decrepit? Dilapidated even. Can you say people are dilapidated? That's usually buildings, but it's just funny to use things for like things they're not meant for. I am dilapidated, especially in body and mind and soul. But I've had a lot of good times, and I've gotten to live to see Bayonetta and enjoy Devil May Cry, and at least at that time, have Harry Potter be my everything, because like I was an abused kid going through bullshit too, and like the escapism and the fantasy and if you're a millennial, you get it. Fuck that bitch though, she can joke. And Naruto and One Piece and Bleach and Sonic and Beast Wars and so many things, like, and how great the music was in even the 2010s. I lived to see that. And I'm still here. And I might not always be here. Or maybe I'm immortal. I guess we'll really find out one day. And I may yet end up killing myself at some point. But as of here, I'm now. As of now, I'm here. And I want to live. And I deserve to live. And I deserve to be happy. And I deserve to be loved. And I deserve to be respected. And even when I'm in my suffering pit, the pits of despair, and all I can see is endless sea and depression and every single reason to not go on, better days are yet ahead. Things can get happy again. I named this drowning again because every time I'm like in the pit of suffering, I go back to that memory of the family vacation of when I was like drowning, and I was like, God, I wish I had just drowned, and like it would save me so much suffering. But it would also save me from so much joy, so many laughs, so many good experiences. That's why this is called Drowning Again. And I'm drowning what feels like constantly, often. It's like my own personal Silent Hill. My purgatory in Silent Hill 2. But that doesn't change the fact that it can always get better. And don't you think you deserve to see what you'll be like in 5 years, 10 years? Imagine the glow up. Imagine how iconic it would be if you, yes, you even, became the person you wanted to be. Imagine that. Imagine having accomplished that through small changes, small habits, small actions that over time became natural to you, that you cultivated, that you purposefully chose. That's making it look like I'm butt ass naked. And you can look back on yourself and be like, I didn't enjoy all that shit. But the fact that I did this, that I became this, that I overcame that stuff, Who else but me? I'm fucking iconic. Nobody could handle shit the way I handle shit. Nobody could handle my life the way I handle my life. Nobody could. There's only one you. Unless you're a twin, then you're just halved. You redundant ass bitches. I have brothers who are twins. That's why I have shade for you guys. All the smoke for you too. No, but like every single one of you, even twins. Yeah, okay. You're individuals. You're your own people. There is no one else like you. And there will never, ever be no one else exactly like you. And the world and yourself deserve to be in it for as long and as happily and as meaningfully as you can. I've yapped. I did tell you guys before that I've majored in yapological studies and minored in gabology, or double majored even. It's been quite some time. This was supposed to be a very silly, I feel like a character in, what do you call it? A cartoon. And how, you know, they're always in like, they reset the status quo every episode after 20 minutes, 22 minutes or whatever. They're back to the same old zany shit. They're always in some trouble. They're always in some bullshit. They're always escalating the drama, and they're always in some ridiculous nonsense. That's like, how the fuck are you? How do you keep getting into this shit? I feel like that's my life. Because what do you mean I got institutionalized? What? What do you mean I was held against my will? And fucking literally abused. And I survived that shit. I don't know how, but I did. And that's how I'm able to tell you the story and share with you this painting. I don't know how I'm going to end this. Look at it going back to me being naked. I don't know how I'm going to end this. So, when I was in there, I was thinking about a new segment for my channel that would have like a really stupid, silly acronym. And I was thinking it would be called So I Can't Kill Anyone / myself Yet. But understanding life's lessons shows huge, interesting, talent. I don't know. The acronym is S.I.C.K.A my bullshit. S.I.C.K.A my bullshit. It was going to be like a segment where I just talk about reviews about like retro shit that I like, and like the idea is I cannot kill myself yet because I have so much media to enjoy, and I need every reason I can to like stick around as long as I can. So watching these things and talking about them and like having endless media to justify not killing myself makes it mean like I ostensibly have a reason to stick around even when I feel like I have nothing else. And I thought a funny acronym would have been S.I.C.K.A my bullshit. And notice again how it starts with So I Can't Kill Anyone S.I.C.K.A / myself yet. S.I.C.K.A my. And that I still need to figure out. It was originally S.I.C.K.A my shit. I still have to figure out a perfect backronym for it, but consider this the first installment in Sick of My Bullshit, if it is indeed called that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being you. You are loved. You are respected. You are trusted. You are worthy. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when it doesn't feel like it. You still are. And I think the most beautiful thing that you can do is be. As long as you exist, you are a boon to the world. Unless you're a fucking Nazi. Then kill yourself, bitch. And if you're a fascist, or haven't you killed yourself yet?